What is up, everybody? I'm Mitch Lunsford.
And I'm Dustin Carpenter, and you're watching the Fat Man Podcast.
So today I want to start us off. Again, we're going to do our Veterans Highlight, and today's Veteran Highlight is sponsored by Lunsford Heating and Cooling for all your heating and cooling needs. All right. This week's Veteran Highlight is none other than my brother, Lance Corporal Michael Lunsford. He served from 2005 until 2009. He did 2 tours in Iraq, and was a Marine, or is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But I'm very proud of him. He was a large part of what. Aside from dumb luck, he was an incorporating factor of why I joined the military, and I'm proud of him, and so we all just wanted to say thank you for your service. So everybody out there, please show my brother Lance Corporal Michael Lunsford some love and support for his dedication and sacrifice to our country. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
So today's topic. What was our topic today? I don't even fucking remember.
Topic is discipline over motivation.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah. So, how long did you serve again?
10 years.
10 years. So you're gonna have to switch back and forth for me for a second. I'm putting chew it.
You can stare at my face while he puts in his dip, or watch him do it. Look at him go.
So, in our time serving, what has been one phrase that sticks into your brain whenever it comes to motivation?
Motivation. I don't like the word motivation, honestly. I feel like motivation's it's a bullshit word. It's something people made up. You know, I feel like a better word is accountability instead of motivation, keeping yourself accountable.
See,
and on top of accountability, integrity. And that's the biggest thing that sticks in my head from my time in the military is integrity.
See, for me, like, we always heard false motivation is better than no motivation.
That's right.
But I think that motivation, it ties into discipline. It might start out with the motivation or the false motivation. Trust me. We both know about false motivation throughout our times of working out.
False motivation applies to work every day.
But as far as motivation goes, like, I feel like, once you get there and you make it a habit, then it filters into the discipline it takes to continue on with it. Because if you're disciplined, you don't need motivation to stay disciplined. We've made going to the gym a habit. It's part of our routine. It's the one thing that we're actually very disciplined about. And so, but it started off with us being like, we're tired of being fat pieces of shit. And so, we started going, and trust me, I've had many days that I'm not up to it, but because we've made it an important factor of our life and we've built that discipline, it's helped a lot.
I feel like a lot of it, though, and not everybody has this, unfortunately, but a lot of our motivation, as they call it, is accountability to each other. So, having you as a gym partner, I feel accountable to you to show up every day, because let's face it, if one of us doesn't go, the other one doesn't. When we have days where it's like, okay, well, I've got something from work came up, or I've got something with family that came up, or whatever the case may be, what have you, the other person doesn't show up to the gym. So for us, it's that whole accountability to each other, and that is the driving force of our, as you want to call, motivation, I feel like. And also the integrity of knowing that if you don't show up, then you're just kind of fucking yourself in a sense.
Oh yeah. And I feel like that also, it's not just about our physical fitness. It also has to do with our eating habits as well. I mean, what's coming up right now, this Thursday is the biggest eating day of the year. And for most people that's been in our shoes, or that are in our shoes right now, Thanksgiving and these holiday seasons, it's a stressful point, because it's where our weak point is. Let's face it. Food has been our biggest enemy throughout well, like after all the conversations we've had, it's been one of our biggest enemies. And so going into this holiday season and Thanksgiving, the Fat Man's Day, why what
Should coin that.
fat International or National Fat Man's Day,
Yes.
Thanksgiving. But why?
Well, why do you think I decided to start my cut on December 1st? I'm getting Thanksgiving over with the right way first.
See, one thing that's for me that's changed is I used to stress out about this because I knew, like, I was like, I'm on Thanksgiving, I'm gonna fall off the wagon, and then that's done. It's it, and I'm gonna be fat forever and die in my little fat cave and just the fat cave.
So if you're in the fat cave, does that make you fat man?
I am fat man.
Yes. The fat man in the fat cave.
We need to make a comic book. Fat man. No, fat man.
Can we have him in like the Batman suit, but just extremely obese, just falling out of it? He's so big.
That we should make a fat man.
But instead of a utility belt, it's just like a bunch of fucking Twinkies
Donuts?
and shit. Yeah, it's such a bunch of fucking grape pops. And
I was born in darkness.
where's the Twinkie?
I was once a man,
I was once a skinny man.
but no more. So if I'm fat man,
Does that make me slobbing? That's so. All right, that didn't come out right. You're off the show. Okay, this show is we're officially canceled. All right, YouTube has canceled us already.
well, we're talking.
I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't even say that.
Frankly, I'm a little ashamed to even know you now.
I'm not ashamed at all. I'm
So
glad I said that.
there's so much shame in my eyes right now. Slobbing. Oh man,
It's weird when you look into my eyes and say that.
I don't like it.
Don't cancel us. Please don't.
But so going into Fat Man's Day, what are you concerned about most? What are you first of all, what are you looking forward to most as far as the food, and how does that put stress on you?
Okay, so one thing about me is I have an incredibly ridiculous sweet tooth. So the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, and it's not because I do such a good job, but every year for Thanksgiving I make candied yams, and it's by far one of my favorite meals. Well, foods. Not I could make a meal out of it for sure, but it's by far one of my favorite foods. So I'm definitely looking forward to the candied yams for sure.
I'll be honest, I think yams in general are so gross.
And after that, YouTube, you can cancel us. Thank you.
I'm just not a fan of them. It's not my thing. My weakness, my mom always makes turkey and noodles, and she makes homemade noodles. They're so good, and then mashed potatoes. I'm actually not a huge turkey fan. It's not. Mom, I love you. We've just not had good luck with turkey, but I've never been a big turkey fan. But I'm looking forward to that. And my dad, he's the pie man in my family. Like he makes a million pies. That's one thing that I think is really cool that he does for. So he owns Lunsford Heating and Cooling, and one thing that he often does is for during Thanksgiving, he makes a whole bunch of pies, and he'll spend all Wednesday delivering pies to different customers and stuff, just to show his appreciation for all their years of patronage to Lunsford Heating and Cooling. They've been around since 1970, and so I mean, we have a lot of people that have supported the business over the years. So I think that that's really cool. But he makes so many pies. Like the fridge is filled to the brim with pies right now.
I actually have 3 pies in my fridge as we speak.
Really?
Wait for Thanksgiving. That pile of you guys can't see it on camera, but there's a pile of shit over there. Well, all the bags.
So not shit. That's gross.
It's whatever you want for Thanksgiving. But all that shit you see down there in bags is all stuff for Thanksgiving too. So
That's awesome. That's
we
awesome.
stock up ahead of time.
But like my dad's cherry whip, which all it is, it's basically like a cherry cheesecake type thing that he makes, and it's super simple. but nobody makes it like him. He's given me the recipe, which is really simple to make, but it never tastes the same. Like there's something to be said about like it's just something that he does, and he sat there and watched me make it before, and it still never turns out the same as his. But that's one of my favorite things, and that's one thing that I'll probably eat a pie to myself.
It's because you don't have the right touch. You don't hold your tongue right when you.
That's exactly what it. That's, that's a large part of what it is. Is I don't have that added touch. Plus, things taste so much better when you don't have to make it.
There's. I've always said that there's two things that make food taste even better. One, when you don't make it, and two, when it's free.
Oh, absolutely. I love free food. I love food. Man, we're gonna have a whole entire episode of just food.
I feel like at some point every episode we've done so far has circulated around to talking about food one way or another.
Well, let's. I mean, on a realistic side of things, we're in the fitness sector, even though we're not fitness influencers or anything like that. We're just two guys that's trying to figure this out and take you guys along for the ride. But let's face it, a lot of people that's in our place that's been where we've been or on the journey that we're on, it's revolved around food. So food is an intimate part of our lives, and I mean for everybody. We have vacations around food. Cultures are made around food, and so I mean it's a very important part of our life that has a huge effect on us, and that goes into the discipline. Like
Well, and if you think about it, when you have family get-togethers and you got all your family in one place, what surrounds them? Food.
oh,
I mean, every time if it's just a quick family get together at the house or a family reunion, and have a cookout, there's always food.
absolutely, and like what was terrible in the best kind of ways is so like growing up, we would go to my dad's house or my dad's family's yeah, that side of the family, and all my aunts are phenomenal cooks. My mom's a great cook. My grandma was a great cook. Everybody's great cooks, so you just go there and just be surrounded by so much amazing food. Food was definitely it's always been a huge part of our dynamic, and hence a large part of why I got really big because I didn't know how to stop because you want to eat everything, and I always eat until I'm miserable. But one thing that's changed since we've started doing what we've been doing, we go to the gym and we work out pretty fucking hard, honestly. Like
Except for today.
somebody worked out hard today. Somebody was being a bitch.
So what
Didn't
happened
drink
was,
enough
I
water.
don't want to get on the topic because we have a topic that we're talking about today, but I didn't drink any water at all today. This is actually the second bottle of water that I've consumed today. Um, as I told you, I got up this morning, I'd made an espresso, and then throughout the day, I had 2 energy drinks, and that was all I had all day long. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't think about it. I mean, it's common sense, but a lot of people don't think about it. How much hydration plays a role in your fitness. I mean, if you're dehydrated, your muscles aren't going to work like they're supposed to. I mean, they're not going to react like they're supposed to. You're not going to have your energy levels are going to be depleted, and that's what happened to me today. I drank 0 water all day long, and my energy was just in the shitter all day at the gym, and it sucked.
So it's funny that you say that because, like, the one thing that I think is very important um, to know is that I heard blah blah blah. I was being a little bitch today. That's one thing. That's one thing that I heard.
I will own that all day long.
No, I could tell that. I could tell that you didn't have, like, I could tell you weren't 100% today, and so I know that I was giving you a hard time because somebody didn't want to do the supersets, but you did.
But I did.
He did. After he was like, "I'm not doing it." I was like, "Come on!" I was like, "What's the number one rule?" And
Today, the number one rule was take a nap.
yeah, but we're kind of all over the place today, aren't we? What did you do?
I was on 3.
Oh, there's nothing there. Yeah, we have nothing on channel 3.
Camera that faces up from the bottom.
I go. So if you got a random black screen, it was his fault.
It's my fault.
But So we've been jumping all over the place. Discipline and motivation was
So
the subject.
we need to get back on topic. Okay. In lieu of highlighting my inner fat kid with food and my laziness today, we'll talk about.
Oh, I did.
So-
I had a point with that. So, with one thing that's changed since we've been in the gym, and we work out really hard every single week. Honestly, like I'm really proud of the work we put in. I rarely leave the gym not feeling accomplished. But that's allowed me to. I can mostly eat whatever I want and I can stay the same. Which is not my goal, but I can stay the same here. I'm not getting any fatter. But
Does that include the honey buns right before the workout?
yeah, I have a ghost and a honey bun every day here, probably for the past 3 months. And it's because I don't have good eating habits, and so but I can tell I need some quick energy, like just some quick calories. That's a big part of why, because I've just been eating like shit here lately. But one thing that I've noticed is I can pretty much eat whatever I want now that we're working a lot of it off. But the other thing is I'm actually not stressed out about Thanksgiving this year because since I've started implementing the 80-20 rule, which you'll hear me talk about forever, because I think it's the most sustainable way to eat is you eat 80% of the time, eat what you're supposed to, and the 20% of the time, like on Thanksgiving, where you hog out, you're not going to ruin yourself on one day. Now, if you let that one day dictate how you eat for the rest of the holiday season, yeah, you're going to put 20, 30 pounds on between the next 2 months, but I'm actually not stressed out about it this year, and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to eat. I'm I'm not going to kill myself and try to eat everything on the menu, but I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm
Just do whatever the hell you want.
do whatever the hell I want, and then come Friday, get back to eating how I'm supposed to. And
One bad day won't ruin it.
no, but 30 bad days will.
Yes. And
Or it'll put you on a bad
I've
place.
said this before. One bad day of eating is not going to ruin your entire month or week or whatever. Just if you have a bad day of eating, just start over right after that meal. It's that simple.
And on that, one bad day of working out or not working out is not going to ruin you either. Actually, there's been many times that although we've talked about this the past few episodes, of taking long breaks. Although this is the longest break, we've taken like some short breaks here and there throughout the year, and there's been a lot of times that I've came back actually feeling stronger. Now, I did notice taking a month off pretty much because of being gone and all with work and military. Certain things are not as strong as they were. Some things are a little stronger. And I was told today by a very beautiful woman that my arms looked like they were getting bigger. She was like, "Are your arms getting bigger?" So, I mean, my whole point.
You do the Johnny Bravo.
Well, she did tell me in the moment, but after whatever I got to the gym, I got a text. She was like, "I think your arms got bigger." I was like, "That's fucking right, it did." Hell yeah, that made my day.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's one thing I'll tell you is, and it. What is that? But one thing that I'll say, and tell me if I'm wrong about this. I think there's a huge difference whenever it comes to compliments between men and women. Because
for sure.
women, they hear that they're beautiful, they hear that they're all this stuff, regardless whether they're top shelf or they're bottom of the barrel. they hear it all the time. I bet you, and you can say something in the comments. Tell me if this is true. I bet you remember almost every single compliment you've ever received in your whole entire life. I bet you I can.
Aside from the ones my wife gives me, because she does it, again, I'm a modest man. I don't like to brag, but my wife compliments me quite a bit, on a regular basis.
You have a hell of a wife. Like, let's be real.
Damn near perfect, honestly.
But he's a very lucky man. She's so kind, and she treats him really well, and that's important for me since he's my best friend, and so it's important for me that he has a good wife. So he's lucky.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
problem.
Definitely a 10 out of 10. But aside from my wife giving me compliments, I mean, I still remember 90% of the ones she gives me, because I still enjoy them. But I remember all the compliments I've gotten from other people in the past, whether it be from a guy or a female or, uh, one of my kids or whatever the case may be. I remember them all for sure. Yeah. But I feel like compliments from your significant other, and at least in my case, they resonate a little bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like than from a gym partner or from just a buddy of yours or even one of your kids. I feel like when my wife gives me a compliment, if I don't dress up, I wear just t-shirt and jeans most of the time, but sometimes I'll just throw on a t-shirt and jeans and she'll look at me and she'll be like, "You look hot today." You know? So, and it's not like one of those wheels like shit every other day, but when she says stuff like that, it resonates to me more than if somebody were to come up and be like, "Hey, you look good today." You know what I mean?
She's always catcalling you on Facebook too. Every time she posts something about you, she's like, "Look at this sexy man," and all this.
It's like when I changed my profile photo the other day to me doing yard work out there. I wasn't shirtless or anything. I'm just sitting on my lawnmower. But she said something along, I don't remember, but it was something along the lines of, "Who I need a cold shower" or something like that. She cracks me up and I love her to death.
I said the same thing, but I'm just serious.
You just took a cold shower.
No, it's just, but no, like I just a helpful little relationship tip is if you want your significant other to do something, tell them that the thing that you want them to do, they're the sexiest when they do that, and I bet you that they'll be like if they're.
I'm over here laughing. I don't mean to interrupt because right when you said that, a key moment popped in my head. There was a time when we first moved into this house, there were some shrubs out in the front and they were just hideous. They looked awful. And so we decided we were going to take them out. And I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, they need to come out anyway, and I wasn't really into it, but I was like, we'll do it because it needs done. So I'm out there and I got the axe and I'm hacking away at the bottom of these shrubs. And she comes out there and she sees me swinging this axe and she was like, "You look so hot swinging that axe." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" Just got into it, and I'm like, I'm taking all these fucking woodlands out now.
His yard is barren now. There's nothing.
All the trees, the shrubs, the neighbors' flowers, they're all axed out.
His whole subdivision is just it's farmland now.
I'm just gonna go on the record and say I just hit 3 again. So
Son of a bitch. No, shit. You're doing better than me because I'm not even hitting the fucking buttons.
for you.
But if you're wondering, what we're talking about is we have a video switcher. So while we're doing this, we're automatically switching back and forth.
We normally have a guy that does this for us, but he's indisposed.
Yeah.
So we talked about that the last episode.
Yeah.
But still the same. So I'm over here. When you see my arm coming over, it's because I'm pushing the button to switch back to his camera.
I like how you said we once we had a guy to do this for us.
Well, he has become our dedicated switcher now. But he's just not here anymore. So give it a week or two.
Fucking 15-year-old kids.
I know. Can't pay him for nothing. Good help's hard to find.
I know. But yeah, if you want somebody to do, if you want your significant other to do something, don't bitch at them about not doing it. Talk about how sexy they are when they are doing it.
Yep.
And I bet you they'll never stop.
Like, babe, you know what makes you look so fucking hot? Is when you take out the trash. I'd be like, bullshit.
So
That wouldn't work on me.
like just a side note, like I always wear a ball cap. I was told not that long ago by my girlfriend that she loves it when I wear my hat backwards, which I never do unless I'm working out.
Right.
And it dawned on me the other day, like there's a lot of times that whenever I'm around her, I end up turning my hat backwards. Like that's how they get in your head.
Yep.
So
It's all your fault, ladies. But my wife told me that I look hotter when I wear a hat. And I used to wear a hat all the time, like religiously, like you, every day.
well, mine's because I'm fucking bald. That's
Okay, it's too bright over there. We're going to switch back to my camera. No. I'm bald, but this is intentional. I shaved my head.
you son of a bitch.
Don't be jealous.
I wish I had that choice.
I wish my hair would just fall the fuck out so I could stop shaving it. Just on the head, though. I want to keep this.
Talking about that, Bosley's, if you would like to sponsor us.
or Hims. Do they have Hims has a hair product? I believe
I thought hymns were for hard-ons.
it is, but I think they also have a line for hair product, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
I think they do, honestly.
I don't know. I'm not for sure. I don't keep up on that.
Well, we'll have to find out. And in case you do, Hims, you can sponsor us too, but not for erectile dysfunction because
Well, for me, for the hair,
for this, no.
no.
You thought we were going to say something else. This is a PG-13 show.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not.
Actually,
That's too much.
that's way too much for that. So, now, anyways, back on topic for the 18th time.
Yes. So the topic was discipline over motivation.
Yeah.
So, how is your military? Because you're still in the military.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran, but you're still in. So, how does your military training, the way that you function and the things that you're taught in the military, carry over to your civilian side in the gym?
So, for me, one thing that I take pride in is, part of something we get taught in the military is taking responsibility. And I think that for me, it's also part of being a leader. And as an NCO, I want to be a good example for the people that serve under me. And then also on the civilian side, I'm a leader in the fact that I have kids. I want them to grow up and see what healthy lifestyles are. And I'm not the biggest, like, I'm not this super hua. Sorry, that's a military thing. I know I hate that. The super fitness dude at all. Like, I do what I do it because I need to, and I've gotten to the point where I enjoy it, but I'll never be the guy that's like, let's do 18 hours in the gym every single day and let's snort a line of creatine while we're taking all kinds of pre-workout and let's get as big and like chiseled as we possibly can. Like, I want to be physically healthy and look good and feel good and all that stuff, but I think there's a difference between there's a healthy way to do it and there's a non-healthy way to do it. And I feel like we're doing a good job at that and taking little steps at a time, but being a good example for my kids to show them, hey, if you want to be fat, be fat. But if you want to be healthy and be able to get around, and whenever you're 30 years old, not feel like you can't. Whenever you have kids, you can't run outside and play with them without getting winded and feeling like you're gonna die. You probably ought to watch what you eat and do a little physical activity. And so like I'm hoping to set a good example for that. And but I feel like motivation and discipline. Go into those leadership skills to lead by example.
Definitely. And I
I feel like that was a word ramble on of everything that I started.
jumbled of linguistics.
Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I feel like most of the time when I say things, as soon as I'm done speaking and then you start, people are like, "What the fuck did he just say?" But on the yeah, it's like I had to walk all the way around.
Yeah.
On the topic of leadership, I feel like that's really important. If, for example, like when you and I first started going to the gym, I kind of took on a little bit of a leadership role with you because you were new to it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you didn't really know much about the gym. You didn't know much about workouts. And I'm not like a veteran guy that's like, oh, I know everything, but I had a little bit more knowledge than you did.
You've been powerlifting for how many years before me? So I mean, you had a pretty solid base. I knew nothing. I didn't know what the fuck to do at all.
So I took on like essentially kind of a leadership role to teach you, the ropes of the gym and what workouts to do and what they do, and then what little bit of the nutrition side I know. And I feel like over the past year, you've caught on well, and so I've kind of let loose of the reins of teaching and just kind of been existing with you in the gym now, and it's kind of like a partnership now, and I like that.
I like that a lot too. One thing that what I really like is, so you're definitely still stronger than me in a lot of areas, but I like that even if I can't match you on weight, I can still keep up with you now. Like I remember that first day, oh man, I couldn't.
I remember the text message I got that first day. You were like, dude, I can't move my arms.
So I was driving in the car. I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old. Well, my 13-year-old, he's at that age where like he's too cool for dad, anyways. But I was driving in the car and I'm like, my arms hurt so bad, and I begged him. I was like, because I had nothing else. I was like, just rub that arm, just rub that arm, because I can't even straighten it out. And he was like, I'll do it for $5. So it was like, it's fucking sold, you bastard. But no, yeah, it was terrible. It just was so terrible that first day. But no, I like that I can keep up with you. I feel like, and honestly, there's some days that I can not mentioning any days like today that I can almost outwork you on some things, and then depending on or your motivation.
Now, I will give you with stamina as far as like doing cardio. You've definitely got me. You got me on the stamina part for sure.
With strength, this motherfucker. Well, you don't know how many times that we'll be in the gym. He's like, I'm just going to start out light. And I look at him, there's one time in particular that he was like, I'm just going to start out light today. And he was doing bench. I looked at it. I was like, that's my max on fucking deadlift. What, you're starting out light. And I was like, start out light. Bullshit. He did that. He's strong as an ox. Like, I don't know if the camera portrays just how big he is, but he's a big son of a bitch, and especially compared to me. Like, I mean, I'm not a very big guy in the first place. I identify as 6'3" and 215 pounds, but the world doesn't see me that way. But
I identify as Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
Yes.
But no, I like that we're getting closer to being on an even playing field as far as what we can do in the gym and stuff, and where I need to work on getting stronger and you're working on building up your endurance. Still, if you compare yourself now compared to what you were a year ago, you've made leaps and bounds, so I mean, I'm really proud of how far you've came, and how far we've came together, and
Likewise.
and sometimes how we come at the same time, but Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Dude, YouTube's not going to let us air any of these episodes if we keep this up.
They let Elon Musk smoke pot on Joe Rogan. So
All I'm saying is if they put Jake Paul on there, they'll put us on there regardless of what we say. That just a loot.
there's so much worse on it. Just our senses of humor. If you're military, you understand it. If you're not military, you don't understand it at all, probably, unless you're blue collar. If you're blue collar, you probably understand it too, because we all have a very dark sense of humor, disgusting sense of humor. But so again, back on what we were talking, motivation and discipline. So what are the time, like from your experience in the military, what's something that as far as motivation and discipline goes, how does your experience in the military carry over to now?
A lot of the key elements that I learned in the military, as far as leadership, being, as I stated in the beginning of this podcast, integrity is one of them. Holding yourself accountable and doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. I carry that over to the civilian side and to the gym all the time. Even like on days like today where I didn't feel like doing shit, because I didn't drink enough water, my energy levels were in the dump. It was like in my head, I'm like, if I leave and I go home knowing that I didn't still give what 100% I have left, I'm gonna regret it. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass every second that I'm back home. So that was resonating in the back of my mind the whole time. So I held myself to that standard, and I feel like I was kind of morphed into that mindset through the military for sure. Like when they send you through leadership course in the military, they teach you they harp on integrity, doing the right thing when no one's looking, because that's one of the key elements of being a leader. So that carries over a lot. Knowing before I joined the military, I wasn't really doing much with myself. I mean, I wasn't a piece of shit, but I wasn't doing anything with myself. So when I joined the military, it gave me a realization that I can do a lot more than I thought I could. I'm capable of a lot more physically and mentally. I can push myself to the limits mentally further than I ever thought I would. So that carries over too. And I kind of keep that in the back of my mind. Like when I'm close to muscle failure on a set, I think to myself, it's mental. I mean, it's really not. I mean, muscle failure is muscle failure. But if, when you feel like you're getting close to that muscle failure, a lot of people will be like, okay, it's starting to hurt, it's starting to get heavy. I'm going to stop here. I kind of get in my own head with that. I'm like, this is 90% mental. I can push myself a little further. I mean, I also have you to help me with that, push me and tell me, quit being a bitch and get one more set, which I appreciate. But in my own mind, I'm like, I can go further, and I tell myself in my head, I'm like, don't be a fucking bitch, Dustin. You can do more than this, And the military gave me that outlook on things because, like I said, I'd never challenged myself in life prior to joining the military. So that definitely played a role for me.
So one thing that, because you kind of touched on this, one thing that I notice is being in the military. How we've been trained over the years, regardless of what position you play, whether you have the most badass position as a ranger or special forces, or if you're, you know, a support guy like what we were, or what I am and what you used to be. Uh, I feel like the one thing that's instilled in us is, there you always have more in the tank. And really, whenever I think about it, that rolls over into so many areas of my life. And whenever I hear people say, well, that's not part of my job, or I don't ha- I don't do that. I don't get paid to do that.
That goes right through me.
Sometimes, like, the civilian part of my brain, I understand that, but at the same time, how many times have we done some shit that had nothing to do with what our job was, and in working 18-hour days, just because, like, that's just the culture, and so I noticed, like, even, with my own business, I have a tendency, as like, I have no problem working extra long and pushing myself as far as I possibly can. And that's one area that I wish I would have, over the years, applied that to my physical fitness a lot more than I have it, specifically in recent years. COVID really fucked things up, and which it
Oh,
fucked things up for everybody. But that was, I always, like, yo-yoed my weight. Like, I'd always get skinny come PT test time, and then become a fat piece of shit for the rest of the year until that time came again. But after COVID, it's just like I let myself go completely. Alt in our unit, he always would say, "Lunsford, you look like you were put up wet, or rode hard and put up wet." And stuff. Like, I got pretty rough, but know that thing in our brain that tells us that to keep on going. That's one thing that I appreciate, and I definitely think that resonates in our fitness now. And yeah, I think that plays a big role in it.
One thing that sticks in my head a lot, though, that I playing over and over in my head, especially when I'm in the gym, mainly when we do cardio, but when we're repping things out too, is I remember when I was in the military and we were doing a PT test, and I heard this almost every PT test. We would do the run. They would tell us, if you're not puking at the end, you didn't push yourself hard enough. I want to see you dying when you hit that finish line, puking your guts up. That's the effort I want to see. And that's still in me. You know what I mean? I don't puke when I'm in the gym, but I'll push myself, as far as I possibly can sometimes. I don't do it every time because that'd be exhausting as fuck. But going 4 days a week, twisting yourself that hard every day. But I mean, there's a lot of times where I will push myself to the point of complete exhaustion where I leave there and I'm just like, man, I ain't got shit left in the tank. I feel dead to the world because that was instilled in me, and it comes out naturally. It's not something I really think about. I'm like, oh, I have to do this because this is what I was taught. It just happens naturally. So
Were whenever you were in, did you know Lieutenant Hanji? I think she's Captain
Yeah.
Hanji now. Okay, so there is this LT. Like I said, I think she's a captain now.
When I was in, we had Lieutenant Snyder and Lieutenant Moore.
Oh, okay.
you remember.
Oh yeah,
If you-
I forgot. It's been a while, but so
I got a story about Snyder, but I'll tell you that later.
so Hanji, Lieutenant Hanji or Captain Hanji, whatever she is now. I remember. So at Stoutfield, do you remember the big? It was a half-mile track they had there by Stoutfield. So we were running around it, and they had the pace or the timekeepers, at different points. And I remember as I'm running around, she's like, "Don't you fucking puke on me! Don't you fucking puke on me!" And I'm like, "Shit!" And I puked, and she almost got splattered everywhere. But like whenever you said that, there's so many times that I've ran to that point, and but yeah, I couldn't do that. I could not do that every time that we do that. But come PT test time, I'll give I'll give everything I got because although the running standards they've changed a lot.
They have significantly diminished from what they used to be.
Now that being said, after you've done the sprint drag carry on this new PT test, your legs are shot. But no, it's not too bad honestly. I've seen I've seen plenty of fatbacks pass it. I've seen some big ones, pass it with ease. And so I'm like, all right, if they can do it and I don't make it, then there's a problem here.
I'm not a sexist man by any means, but I will say that the military definitely caters to the females. Because I remember when I was in, we had a couple female Joes that when we would do the 2 mile on the PT test, they would walk the 2 miles and they would still pass because they had so much time to do it in.
See, I don't
Like, you got to be fucking shitting me.
I don't think that. I think since they've changed that, I don't think it caters nearly as much for that. But it caters a lot to because I'm in the new age bracket.
Right.
Caters a lot
Old
to
man
that.
now.
Yeah. As far as the army goes, I'm getting up there. But
You're almost senior citizen now, according to the Army.
no, but no, that
Takes
since
AARP.
since they've changed that, I don't think it really. I don't think it as much caters to that as much as it used to, maybe.
That's good.
But I do think that it's not they have yet to make a perfect test. There for a little bit, they were when they changed the PT standards, they were doing it like I don't remember what they called it, like heavy, medium, light, depending on your MOS. And I like the idea of that. If you're an infantry guy or in combat arms where you're doing a hell of a lot more than a finance person, then okay, maybe whatever, make it adjust it to it. But I don't know what the perfect solution to that PT test is. But so we've talked about motivation. Now let's talk about demotivation. Like what is and has been some of the most the causes
For lack of motivation.
of your lack of motivation or to deflate your motivation? What's been things that you've dealt with?
I can think of one in particular that comes to mind is when I got my hernia, my umbilical hernia. That was definitely a demotivating moment. Because if you recall, I was doing the carnivore diet and I was making huge strides. I was losing weight and I was still building muscle and I was doing great. My endurance wasn't the best at the time, but I mean, I was still making huge accomplishments. And I got that umbilical hernia and it took me out for a couple days. Well, 2 weeks, I think, before I could do anything, before I felt comfortable lifting again, before the pain went away. And
Yeah, aside from this current break, that was the longest break that we had.
yeah. And that was definitely demotivating. Why is that word so funny? I don't know. Demotivating for me because I had to take time off and I got in that stupid mind fuck of my own that I was like, okay, well, I'm not in the gym right now. What's the point in maintaining my diet? And I got on that stupid spiral, which is a horrible thing to do. Don't do that. but I did because I was feeling down on myself, because I wasn't just like, mad, or I wasn't like sad that I was like, oh no, I can't go to the gym. I was pissed. I was mad at myself. I'm like, how can I be dumb enough to allow myself to get in that predicament where I would, have an umbilical hernia, and I was kind of kicking myself in the ass the whole time, and I was like, well, if you're that stupid, you're not gonna go to the gym, just fuck it, eat what you want to, dummy, kind of thing in my own mind, and that I didn't start eating like cookies and cake and pizza and all that shit. I was still eating good, but I went off the carnivore diet and I started eating higher carb meals, which kind of defeated the whole carnivore thing that I was doing. But that was definitely a defining factor in demotivation for me.
Now, one thing it would one, it would always piss me off, but two, it was the least motivating thing ever. Is especially at my fattest and whenever I broke both my feet, it was a struggle. Which there were so many things that later I was like, I can still do shit. But at the time, my motivation is at its all time low. And I remember I had a guy come up to me that I served with, and he was like, "You just need to stop being fat," and come up and he touched my belly. "Huh, when is the baby due?" and all that shit. And they're like, "That's how I motivate people." Well, buddy, it's not motivational at all, especially whenever you've never struggled with it. And like I will battle anybody on this subject at all. There's a difference between I get the it's a responsibility of ours to maintain our physical readiness. That doesn't make it it doesn't make it easy, which it's not supposed to be easy. But two, whenever people do struggle with their weight, I think that there's so many other ways to go about it than just bashing them.
Right.
And it would definitely come up and say that stuff, and it was like, you've really made me want to work out now, didn't you? In fact,
It's not really so much about hurting your feelings either. 'Cause
No.
it pisses you off.
Yeah, that's
Like,
well, good. It should piss you off.
yeah, I remember there was a time where I was on a job site and I ran into somebody that I hadn't seen in a long time. I hadn't seen since high school, honestly. And I walked up, I was like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Long time no see." And the first fucking words out of his mouth was, "Damn, you got fat." And that kind of pissed me off. I wanted to punch him in the mouth, and I was like, "Not gonna do that, lose my job." But it made me mad, and I was at the time going to the gym, working out, trying to get less fat. I kind of just started that journey of losing weight, not necessarily the powerlifting side. Now I was on the weight loss side, and that was kind of a demotivational moment for me. It made me want to push harder after the fact, but in the moment, and I was like, fuck that dude. And it kind of
Yeah.
it made me feel like, is what I'm doing even really worth it? Like, it's not making a difference. But then he didn't see me beforehand either. So.
Yeah. And like I think that there's two different things. Like there's a difference between tough love and being a dick.
Definitely.
And like I always how many times have I said about so many things I have no feelings. Like I don't
Yeah.
like my feelings don't get hurt. Nothing that anybody's going to say to me is going to bother me. I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff.
And that's one of the perks about being in the military.
Yeah.
You can't embarrass me and you can't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that. But I think that there's a difference between being a dick and giving tough love. And I think that some people respond well with that tough love. Like whenever, for instance, I feel like this kind of falls on the same page as this. Like when we're in the gym, you always tell me that like you like being motivated by like, get that shit up, you bitch. Don't be a bitch. Get that shit up. Whatever I say, and you want me to cuss and yell at you.
I want you to talk to me like you're my drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Pretty much whenever we're working out. That's what motivates me.
And I'm not that way. Like I'm more of a hell yeah, man, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Like I like the positive side of things. You like being told that you're a bitch. But and like people
I
were.
promise I don't have daddy issues.
Well, he always tells me to pull his hair while you're working out. It's a weird.
What hair?
That's why he doesn't have an. But no, like I think that there's different ways to skin a cat, and like at my unit, like I think that some people are like they need that tough love. And then some people, I feel like I know that there's a guy in my unit. I won't mention his name, but he struggled with his weight, and he's seen the weight loss uh, that I've had, and there's been countless conversations that we've had. He's like, "Oh, I think that's really great," and like I more encouraged him, like, "Hey, man, I know you can do it. Hey, if you want me to, I can send you these recipes for things that I've done. This is my workout plan." And so like I do that, and on a regular basis, I make sure that I like anytime that I'm always cooking. So whenever I come up with like he's big into the keto, which to each their own. If you want to do low carb, do it if you want. But if I come up with something that like, oh, this is tastes good and it's low carb or what have you, I'll take a picture of it and I'll send them the recipe. And then like I try to motivate them in that way. Like I think that there's so many different ways that you can motivate people without tearing them down. And that's been my experience. The military has been historically really good about is they have that tear them down so we can build them back up. It doesn't work for everybody. I'll tell you, that's not what got me motivated to work out. What got me motivated to work out is realizing that I couldn't get out there with my kids, that I literally broke both my feet stepping out of my car. Like that was a motivation thing, you know?
I feel like also those of us who've been in the military or still are in the military, we have that mindset because that's how kind of how we were formed into who we are. You know, we were broke down into nothing and built back up the way that they wanted us to be.
Yeah.
And
That's how they train you.
I
That's how they
feel-
make you,
yeah,
they make you
exactly.
trainable.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I kind of carry that over when I talk to other people, and I shouldn't, especially civilians. You know, if it's a military buddy, it's whatever. I don't care if I hurt their feelings, you know, because they have none.
Yeah.
They'll get over it. But like civilian side, like I'm very militant with my kids. You know, my oldest boy, he's in the Marine Corps now. God love him, and so it worked. But and he sent me a message the other day, and it kind of hit me in the feels. You know, he said, "I want to thank you for all the things you did for me over the years, the way you raised me." You know, he was like, "Everything you did had a purpose, and now I realize that." And gave me goosebumps and hit me right here. You know, made me feel good. I'm like, I did a good job. You know, but when he was my oldest boy, like I was saying, when he was younger, he was in grade school. You know, he was like 7, 8 years old. He got caught several times lying to the teacher about homework and stuff, and he wouldn't turn in his homework. And he'd come home, and I'd ask him about it, and he'd lie to me about it, and I'd catch him in the lie. So instead of smacking his ass with a belt like my dad used to do, or putting soap in his mouth, which I tried that, and it didn't fare too well.
Yeah.
You know, it's just soap. So what I started doing was the military type punishments where I sent him out in my front yard with a pair of scissors and I said, go cut my grass. Don't come back in until it's done,
Yeah.
you know? And he went out there with those scissors, and it was a little tiny pair of scissors, and he sat out there and cut the grass. And I left him out there for about an hour and a half. And
People would lose their fucking mind.
I know. They're like, oh, you're a horrible parent. I don't care. Eat a dick.
Like, here's the thing: is at the end of the day, we want our
Didn't hurt him. Like,
no.
you know, he's not out there in physical labor pain, you know, dying. You know, he came inside and, you know, he apologized to me, and I felt better about, you know, the situation. And he had a shower and a nice warm meal afterwards, and everything was fine.
And you took the most valuable thing to him, his time. That's
Exactly. Because, well, that was what I was getting at also, was he had a friend that came over while he was out there in the front yard cutting the grass. I didn't have a huge yard. It wasn't like 3 acres or anything. It was small at the time. But he had a friend that came over and knocked on the front door and asked if he'd come out and play. And I said, no. I said, as you see, he's in the front yard, you know, cutting the grass with scissors. I said, that's a punishment. He's, you know, in trouble right now. And the kid was like, okay. And I could tell by my boy's face that he was disappointed that he couldn't leave and go play. This kid, I loved it. It was hilarious. He came back to the door about 10 minutes later, and he says, can I help him? And I said, you need to go ask your parents before I tell you yes, because if they come over to my house and see you cut my grass with scissors, we're going to have a problem. So he actually did. He went home, and he came back, and he was like, my parents said it's okay. He was like, can I have a pair of scissors? I said, sure. I gave him scissors, and I had 2 kids out there. It was funny.
So, did your son Huck Finn him? Like, that's a reference if anybody's not
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 a
familiar.
sexual thing.
No.
Freaking dweebs.
Did he Huck Finn like or Tom Sawyer him? Is that what it was? Yeah, Tom Sawyer. Did he Tom Sawyer him into in the grass?
No, I don't know. I wasn't out there really when it happened. So
Man, buddy,
Probably.
this would be so much fun. You should come out here and do it.
dude, this is a blast.
But no, like at the end of the day, I think that there's so many different ways to go about doing things, and being a dick is probably the least effective way. Like I said, there's a difference between tough love and being a dick. But no, I will say that my motivation over the years, it's changed and it's developed in what I used to respond to whenever like for instance whenever I first joined. I'm to the point that like my fucks are a lot less to be given, and so like you're not going to come up and motivate me by being a dick to me. Talk to me like a person. But no, if there's anybody out there that's
Sex goes a long way.
well, if there's anybody out there that's struggled with motivation, well, like one, what do you respond to? Is it the positive reinforcement? Is it the drill sergeant antics, or also what demotivates you? What kicks you down and makes you not want to do it? Because I think that it's important to identify those things.
You're good. You
Hi,
can come out.
you can come up. But I think
My daughter.
I think that it's important to identify those things, and so what takes your motivation away, and that way you know how to work around them. I think it's about developing yourself as a better person. How you doing?
No, you're good. You're fine. I kind of want to let's take a poll in the comments section and see who prefers the positive reinforcement, who prefers the drill sergeant, and who prefers to just be left the fuck alone. Because I know there's also a group of people out there that are like, I'll motivate myself. I don't need you. I don't need anybody else to tell me you could do it. Go team kind of shit, or screaming at me, telling me I'm a piece of puke.
Yeah.
There's people out there that are like, I'll do it myself, whatever. So if you're one of those people, let us know too.
You know what I hated? So, I know you know this guy. They're one of my best friends is Chad Schimmel, and love the dude. Like we went to AIT together. We were roommates. All this stuff. Naturally fit. He's always been naturally fit, and he was.
Chad Schimmel, I hate you for that.
It's,
Love you, brother.
it's bullshit. But anyways, he would come up to me, and we lived together, so I knew how much he worked out.
Yeah.
And he'd tell me all the things that I need to do. I'm like, motherfucker, you don't do any of that shit. Bullshit. I just seen you kill a case of beer and take a PT test and max it. That's bullshit. But yeah, I don't get so mad at him. I hope you're doing good, Chad. But yeah,
He moved to Alaska, didn't he?
yeah, he's
Awesome.
he's done all kinds of things in Alaska. He loves it out there.
So on the topic of what has motivated you from your military experience, what if you had to tell the civilian side people who have never stepped foot in military boots, what could they do? What part of your experience in the military you think they could adapt or take a part of to help them in their motivation with their fitness?
I think the number one thing is stop telling yourself that you can't, because like that, if you say you can't, it's true. If you say you can, it's true. Both of them are true. It depends. Like the biggest thing is 99% of everything you do in life, whether you talk about fitness, whether you're talking about health, whether you're talking about your career, if you say that you can't do it, you're right. And so stop putting limits on yourself. And I hate fucking those stupid cliches, but they always say, shoot for the moon, you might hit the stars, or something along that bullshit. The biggest thing is stop putting limits on what your capabilities are, and just get out there and do it. Every little step adds up. If you, like, just to give you perspective, if you read 20 pages, if you read 20 pages a day, Well, that ends up being like, I don't remember how many books, but it's a shit ton of books. I mean,
I saw that same post.
yeah,
Talking
you
about-
know what I'm talking about?
I didn't really like that. Not to get off topic here, but I didn't really like that post because the second I read that, it said like reading 12 pages a day equals like 320 books a year, and I'm sitting there thinking, how the fuck do they know how many chapters or how many pages are in each book?
I think it's the average. It's the average books or whatever. My whole point. That's a terrible example.
Stupid.
My whole point is those little things that you do each day, they add up. Like those small wins can turn into big wins. So even if you're 600 pounds and you're bedridden, you know, making those small changes. Maybe it's with your diet. You cut out the sugar and you eat all the other stuff. Okay, you've cut down your sugar. Are you going to see massive changes? Maybe not immediately, but it's like your toilet paper theory. You know, one piece of toilet paper every day, it ends up adding up. So stop putting limits on yourself. Celebrate the small wins because eventually they turn into big wins. That's the number one thing that I would say that you can apply to your life is celebrate those small wins. Take one step at a time. And I know we hear this kind of shit all the time. And whenever you watch people, all these fitness shows or these fitness channels on YouTube, you want the magic cure all for everything that's going to happen immediately. But the biggest thing is just taking a step a day each day and in the right direction. What's something that you would apply?
Well, kind of riding the coattails of what you said when you were talking about you don't have to be.
You don't have to be quiet.
Be so quiet.
This is just a conversation. Like
So, we are.
we are recording. You can come and say hi if you want.
You want to be on camera?
You know what?
Be on camera? Hurry, turn the camera around. Look at her. No. Forgot what I was saying now.
Oh, the things that you can apply.
Yeah, but what you said that I forgot.
Oh, I was talking about little steps at a time.
Oh yeah. Telling yourself you can't do it. That's what I was getting at. One thing that has, I mean, that's been something that has hit me before in the past. You know, as many years as I've been at the gym, there's been times where I've come up to a set and I've had it in my head, I'm probably not going to get this. I'm going to try, but I'm probably not going to get this. And 95% of the time when I do that, I fail the set. And
What on that? How many times? Like, there's so many times that whenever we first started, remember I'd come up to it and it'd be like the next step up to what and I'd be like, we'll see. And you're like, stop fucking telling yourself that because every time you do that, you don't get it. And then whenever I would go into it and I'd hype myself up, like I just took out the option of me not doing it. And how many times did I get a PR because of that? That was one thing that you like drilled in my head every single day. Because every single day I had at least one set that I'd be like, we'll see how I do on this one. And you're like, it would almost piss you off. You stop fucking saying that shit.
I've learned that through experience. You know, and that's what I was talking about. There's been 95% of the time I do that to myself, I'll fail that set. And then there's times where I go up to one and in the beginning I'm looking at it, I guess like that's a lot of fucking weight on a bar. I don't know. And then I'm like, nah, don't be that guy. And then I'll just start hyping myself up. I'm like, I fucking got this. I'm gonna do this. And even if I'm only going for a 1 rep max, I'm telling myself in my head, I got 3 fucking reps of this. I'm gonna push out 3 reps of this. I'm going to do this. And I'll hide myself in my own mind. Because if you tell yourself in the beginning, I don't know if I can do this, or I'm probably not going to do this, you've already failed. There's a saying to that, and I can't for the life of me think of what the saying is. But
the saying, I think that it goes like this. Don't be a bitch.
Exactly. Yes, that's the saying. Every saying in life can be summed up by don't be a bitch.
Exactly. That's our motto. Like we really almost every single day in the gym, like that's our number one rule. And I know it sounds crude and it sounds stupid, but like the biggest thing about it is it's not meant in a crude way. Yes, it's funny and we get a kick out of how we talk, but the biggest thing is like don't sell yourself short. Don't get in your own way. And I think that 99% of the time that's what we do. But I will say this, you were talking about going in there and being like, man, that's a lot of weight. But I will honestly say there's not been one single time that you've went up against any of the weight that I never thought, I think he could have done more.
Yeah.
Because like I've never seen you lift a weight and me question whether you could do it. Because like I've seen you lift some really heavy shit, and yeah, I know that you're capable of doing more than I think that you know that you're capable of doing,
Oh, sure.
honestly. And so like the biggest thing is just don't sell yourself short. And like I was saying, not to go get too off on this, but that really it does apply to so many things in your life. And to give you an example that may not be related to fitness, but you can apply it to that as well. Um, 9 years ago, I got a camera. All right, and I'm not phenomenal at what I do. I enjoy what I do, but I got a camera. I'm just a small kid from a small town kid from Indiana.
Scranton, Missouri.
From Brazil, Indiana, and I thought, you know what, I want to make some stuff. So before I knew it, I was making. I said I wanted to make some documentaries, and so I made documentaries. And then one day, I decided, you know what, I want to make a movie, and so we shot a fucking movie, and we got it paid for. And then I was like, you know what, I want to take that next step. And now, you know, fast forward, I've been all over the world. I've been all over the country. And now I'm doing a 5-part docuseries in Huatulco, Mexico, and working with so many like amazing people out there. My point being is, like I said, if you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. And the biggest thing is stop putting limitations on you. So many times in my life, I've been told that you can't have big dreams and live in a small town. And, you know, this may not seem like a big feat for so many people, but we wanted to make a podcast. And so we made a fucking podcast. And regardless if we have one person watch this or if we have 1 million people watch this, you know, it's still a step in the direction that we wanted to do. And you can apply that same outlook to your fitness and your well-being. And that's what we try to do every single day. We're not perfect at what we do. We're so far from it, but taking those steps and moving forward and not putting the limitations on you, because like I've said so many times, is if you say you can't, you can't. But if you say you can, you'd be surprised at what you're capable of.
The first step to defeat or failure is telling yourself you can't do it.
Absolutely.
Definitely. You're so much more of a motivational speaker than I am. Like you're such a from the heart kind of guy, you know? Remember about being a motivational speaker? Standing up in the crowds with the stupid little earpiece fucking microphone. Thought of that. Take life by the horns. Sorry about the clap. That's probably loud, but you gotta take life by the horns and make life your bitch kind of thing.
I just thought about Chris Farley.
You'll be living in a van down by the river. I love that.
As soon as you said, "Have you thought about being a that's instantly the thought that
Motivational speaker. He does that.
do it again.
One show a day. I don't get paid for this.
So I was actually just I wish I had a better memory, but I was just watching that there's a whole like 5 different personality types whenever it comes to leadership. And like there's the motivator. Like I would definitely think that I'm probably in the motivator class. Like that's kind of the speaking style that I probably go towards, maybe. And then but I feel like that you're on the other side. I feel like that you're a good teacher. Like I think that you have that kind of authority in how you talk and stuff. And so I think that everybody has their different skills that they're good at, but I think that you're a good teacher for what it's worth.
I wish that. I can't stop thinking about the van by the river. Living in a motivational speaker.
Oh, I loved Chris Farley.
R.I.P. Chris Farley. We loved you.
Yeah, so funny.
Legend forever. Absolutely. Up fat bastard.
I'm gonna clip that to motivation. I'm just gonna clip that little piece. Make it a little new thumbnail. Yes.
Could you like superimpose his head on my body one?
Or I'll superimpose your head on his body.
Better. Yes. No, the stupid tire.
Fat man. And
Just like when he falls to the coffee table. Cracks me up. I love
It was so
Chris
fun.
Farley.
Good shit.
Good times.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I think we're gonna have to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
We're out of material now.
I don't know. I think that we're
Talking about Chris Farley, for fuck's sake.
talking about all kinds of stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff we could talk about, but
So, one thing I want to say is, I know life has their times where it gets ups and downs, and you're going to be all work and kids, and everything's going to seem like it gets in your way. And I would say the biggest thing is, best advice I can give is just keep at it and make this. You have to go to work every day, or you're not going to make a living. You're not going to be able to afford to live. So think of your fitness and your health on that same type of importance, if not more important. Ghost energy.
talking. Keep talking.
But so just work on finding the things that help motivate you to take that step, those small steps into the right direction. But if you have one thing that we're real big on is we're trying to build a community here of people that have been where we were and where we are, and even people that are where we want to be. And so if you have a story that you would like to share with us, please, we have the Fat Man community page on Facebook. And so please tell us your story in that. And if you'd like to come on and share your story, we'll etch out a whole entire episode and bring you on and we'll talk about your story. But the biggest thing is just hang in there, and thank you for joining us on our journey and on this podcast. And we're really looking forward to hearing more from you. If you're a fitness influencer, or if you're a personal trainer, doesn't matter where you're at, we want to hear from you. So please hit us up on Facebook and continue watching, and thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you to all the viewers who inspire us to keep doing this stuff. And my little bit of advice to you is don't do drugs and don't steal stuff. Because no one likes a thief.
No one likes a thief.
And most importantly, don't be a bitch.
Yeah, don't be a bitch. But I'm Mitch Lunsford.
And I'm Dustin Carpenter. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
This is the Fat Man Podcast. Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch.